Countdown timer.
Some guy I never heard of. Hi. Everyone say hello to Daddy.
We're live.
Yo, welcome to Around the EcomiVerse, episode 54. Happy New Year's, everyone. Woo!
Woo! Yeah. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi.
Dashi.
What's up, Dashi?
Awesome.
Dashi's
How was
good.
everyone's New Year's? How did you guys go?
Good. That's good.
I woke up sick. So
That's so fun.
the first thing I opened, my throat was like closed, like, oh God. But it was fine. And then the first thing I opened on TikTok is some reporter saying Japan had like a 7.4 earthquake and now there's a tsunami coming. And the first comment was like, bro, we just started 2024. Like, I hope that's not an ominous sign. I hope that's just like I don't know. But
This is
prayers
fine.
to those people.
Everything is fine, meme.
Thoughts and prayers.
That's funny. What do you guys think? Hopefully, VeVe takes OMI seriously this year. I mean, we were just discussing this before we came on.
I think them hiring, we don't know exactly how many people, or it's not public anyway, but let's say anywhere between 5 and 15 people on a blockchain team to help morph it into, loyalty, from OUP, and, making a whole Discord, hiring Foster Hilt as the Ecomi community manager, hiring like the main Discord mod. I mean, it seems like they're taking it pretty seriously already. How much more do you want? I don't know.
And we got Cosmos here saying OMI didn't move so far. Do we believe it's going higher? Well, hopefully.
So that's the plan.
That is the plan. And Dr. Stuff, I think you said you've got you want to talk about the Steamboat Willie.
Oh, that has been
Yep.
all the rage on Twitter this morning. And I'm super irked. I got a message from and shout out to Crypto Cosmo. This guy's he's just got a sixth sense for this stuff. So he somehow came across the Steamboat Willie thing, and he DM'd me at he texted me at 12. He's like, hey, Happy New Year. Oh, by the way, this just dropped. I picked up a few, but I didn't see it until an hour later. So he picked some up at 0.05, a lot of them. And by the time I looked, it pumped to 0.15 or something. And I was like, but by then I was like, this is a little bit more risky, and I'm just exhausted, so I didn't do it. But so we come onto Twitter this morning, right, and it's spread like wildfire, and everyone, it's. I'll say this: there's two things to take into consideration here. Everyone is sitting here with this knee-jerk reaction, saying, "Oh, see, interoperability. This is such a big deal. Look at the price; it's pumped. This is what Steamboat Willie is worth on VeVe. This is what it's worth on OpenSea, and see why interoperability is such a big deal." I don't want to take away from that, but it is too early truly to tell. It's been 1 day, right? And the thing is this is public domain. So what's going to be more valuable? The first drop on Steamboat Willie on ETH, or is it going to be the first one on Solana, or is it going to be on Avalanche? Or Bitcoin Ordinal Steamboat Willie? To me, the thing is, the masses, as I just, I was bridging tokens, and I was trying to do some tax loss harvesting the last couple days, and I'm just the masses aren't ready for crypto.
No, it's
and when
so
I think
difficult.
about that, we have to think about what the masses are going to want and what they are going to care about.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know. We don't know if the masses are going to truly care about this. This dropped on layer 1 ETH, or you know what, this was actually on Immutable X. It's got the timestamp. So to me, that means that's the first. And oh, by the way, I don't have to freaking like download Coinbase or get a non-custodial wallet to buy this stuff and learn all that stuff. I can literally just log on to VeVe's app, sign up, and buy it there. So I'm not saying that this public domain NFT won't do well long term. It may, but for everyone to sit there and celebrate and be like, oh, I told you, like, look how this has crushed it. Like, this is crypto degens, right? And we see NFTs pump like crazy. Hey, Moonbirds got up to 40 ETH. Okay.
Oh my God.
ETH. When ETH was like, what was ETH? Like $2,500, something like that.
Even higher.
Right. Like, I mean, it went crazy, right? And look at where they're at now. So
what are they
just
at now?
saying, before we all
2.5
reactions, we're 2.5 ETH. So, I mean, 98% down from where they were. Now, look, like they still have a value, and that's saying something. The project has a lot of money that they could add a lot of value to that. But I'm just going to say that it would be very interesting. I do believe that crypto will come to the masses. There's a lot that needs to happen. The tech has to improve substantially. There has to be guardrails. There has to be regulation. And I know all of the crypto maxis hate hearing that, but like they want the masses into crypto, but then they don't want regulation. And it's just like the masses won't come without regulation. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I think, hey, long-term it could be, because even though it's public domain and someone else could literally mint the exact same thing, it was the first on layer 1. And right now that seems to matter today to a lot of the Web3 fam.
I have some thoughts on this. Of course, I'm very opinionated, and I come across as very certain. It's probably because I am. So I'll share some thoughts on OMI. And I want to share a chart. Like a lot of people in crypto that have a very loud voice, they're also just very new at this kind of stuff. So though they have a very strong opinion, they're also very new. And so their opinion isn't worth very much, but they're very loud. And there's a number of people who are very loud about their opinion. So this is exactly what a basing chart looks like. This is an amazing base called the double bottom, and you can't see it because the things are up. Jordan, you got to take those down so they can see.
Yes,
but we're hitting this nice double bottom base, and it's forming this nice base. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, VeVe needs to do this, and they're not on exchange, and if they did all this, then their price would be higher. And they're right and they're wrong. They're right in that, sure, if there wasn't quite the amount of FUD because some other things came together, and say they got on Binance or they were on KuCoin now, sure, the price would be a little bit higher. So the price might be double from here. Okay, cool. It'd be a little bit higher. But would it be going to the moon like people hope it would be? No, not until this pattern completes, not until whatever big money is selling down here completes. And the digital collectibles narrative is going crazy. I mean, look at the Flow blockchain, which is also massively, massively down. It's also in the digital collectibles narrative because the digital collectibles narrative hasn't hit yet. And so look at Chili's, another example, right? I think they're all massively underpriced. OMI is my favorite. So like, just look at their patterns, and sure, they've come up a little bit in the last 2 weeks. Let me ask you this. Do you like buying high or do you like buying low? So when I look at investments, I look at things like I look at the price here and I say, is this a buy zone or is this a sell zone? Well, I'm waiting for the sell zone because at some point the digital collectibles narrative is going to go absolutely nuts. And Ecomi could do nothing else from what they've done, and the price is going to go absolutely ape shit. And a lot of people that are new to crypto don't get that part. Why? They're just new and they think they know something and they just don't realize what they don't know. It's not that they're dumb. They're just new to this. They've been in crypto for like 2 years and they have an opinion about these cycles that they don't even understand yet because they haven't even been past one full cycle yet. And yet they have such strong opinions and, oh my gosh, Ecomi needs to do this and the price sucks and I'm out. And it's like, well, thank you. yet another person who sold the bottom, who thought they knew a lot and they think they're nuanced. Yet 95% of people do bad in crypto, and they do bad for exactly the same reasons because they do exactly the same things. And this pattern happened over and over again with different projects last bear market. And so here we are, this bear market, people that came in 2 years ago that have very strong opinion, like, oh my gosh, OMI, I'm going to sell my OMI and roll it into Myria. Well, that's not very bright. Like, I was talking about Myria down here, but you know what people were saying when I was talking about Myria down here? Oh, I'm not going to buy Myria until they launch a game. No, I'm too concerned. They haven't even launched a game. I'm not going to buy Myria. Then what happened? The blockchain gaming narrative hit. And what happened? Well, it went 10x. No game launched, and yet it went 10x. What happened? The only thing that happened was the narrative hit. And so this is what crypto is about. And new people, they just don't understand what they don't know. And the problem is they're taking such strong opinions and not even realizing what they don't know, not searching and trying to gain more knowledge. They're forming very strong opinions about something they know absolutely nothing about. And then they make up reasons or justifications along the lines of what their emotions telling them is wrong. And their emotions are telling them that EcomiVerse is not going to survive. EcomiVerse is dead. Their token isn't getting enough love from VeVe. And, you know, David Yu doesn't care enough about OMI. And so it's so terrible. And you know what? I'm out. I'm selling out of OMI into something more interesting. What, you're going to sell out of OMI here into something that just went 10x? Well, that's brilliant. That's what 95% of people do that end up not doing very well in crypto. Because Myria, I think there's a chance it takes one more leg up, and then it's probably in for a bigger correction. And it might not even take another leg up here. It might continue just to slow down for a while because the blockchain gaming narrative hit pretty hard during not the regular full bull run. It just was this mini bull run. We don't have a lot of new people coming into crypto. So this was new money from existing people coming into the blockchain gaming narrative that absolutely pushed it up. And I think probably one more leg up and then probably a bigger correction. And yet they're selling OMI at the absolute bottoms to sell it into something that has maybe a 50% chance it goes a little bit higher before it corrects. And they're selling something that OMI, I would say the chances that it does well from here are like 99%. And you're at the bottom. So they're selling at the bottom to go into something that's probably going to correct sometime soon. And yet they also have this very strong opinion. They talk a lot of new people into doing this too, because, wow, they make all the different arguments that they make. And the hard thing when you're new is you don't know. And a lot of times when people have a channel or they have big Twitter following, you think they know something because, well, they have a Twitter following. They must know what they're doing. Let me ask you, are they millionaires from crypto investing over the last 6 or 7 years? If the answer to that is no, they don't know anything yet. So don't listen to them. Now, they have an opinion. That's cool. Listen to their opinion. Evaluate what you think about it. That's cool. We like those kind of opinions. Don't blindly follow what they're saying because, look, when they have all these, like a lot of wealth and they're a multi-millionaire from crypto investing, that means they're not part of the 95%. They're part of the 5%. And that 5% is worth listening to. But realize that like 98% of the people with voices out there, whether it's a YouTube channel or a large Twitter following, they're not the 5%ers. Why? Most of the 5%ers do not have time to make a YouTube video. They do not take the time to have a large Twitter following. They're just making good money through investing. And so maybe 2% of the big voices out there have a solid idea and understanding and experience in what they're doing. But they don't know, right? When you're new, how would you know? Oh, you know, BitBoy has a Lamborghini. He must be rich. Well, shoot, he was making $1 million a month from his sponsors. That's what bought the Lamborghini, not his trading abilities.
That's funny. It's very true. We've got so many good comments here. We had quite a few questions as well. Those price predictions, we might leave those for later in the show. We got Jojo was asking where the let's see if I can find it. Where did the liquidity come for the Uniswap pool? That was done by here it is. That was TourDance. That was done by Ecomi. They added liquidity into Uniswap. That's actually what kicked off that crazy price action for OMI with the all-time high. It was the same week they listed on Uniswap. So the liquidity just I think they locked it in. I'm not 100% sure what they did, but you can actually add your own OMI and Ethereum LP tokens into the OMI pool, and you can actually make some money from that as well. But you have to look into impermanent loss and what happens with that, because that's a bit dangerous. So basically, it can be one-sided, and you end up with all this Ethereum, and you end up with no OMI, or vice versa. When you trade on a in a pool like that. But that's way more advanced. And going back to what Dr. Stuff said earlier, the masses aren't ready for crypto in a lot of cases. I think that's quite true, but obviously with the ETFs coming, when they get ETFs for Ethereum and the ETFs for Bitcoin, and then they're going to have other ETFs. They'll probably do Solana and Cardano, and they might do some like mixed ones. So it'll be like the top 10 projects. And that'll be like really easy exposure to the masses, right? Because they've been doing stocks forever. So that's going to be a game changer.
I do think ETFs for mixed tokens is a long way away. There's a potential that spot ETH ETF happens later this year, but there has to be an appetite. I'm speaking purely US, right? I mean, you already got a spot Bitcoin ETF like in Europe,
and Canada too, I think, right? Canada has one as well.
Yeah, but like obviously it's the U.S. institutions that would be bringing in a lot of money. But like a spot ETH ETF is a ways away if it happens this year, and then a lot of other altcoins like that. If it happens, I think multiple years down the road. To be honest.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, there is a perfect storm brewing for 2024, and I've been looking forward to this. And a perfect storm is just when like 3 storms come together, right? 3 hurricanes converge. And if you think about it, 2024 was always going to be pretty good because the Bitcoin halving, it creates a natural cycle. And this has happened every just under 4 years. And so the last one happened March of 2021. And I think that puts us into about December of 2024 when the natural timing would be. But also, if you combine a few other things that are going to happen, this perfect storm is going to be huge. Number one, the amount of liquidity the Federal Reserve is likely to pump into the economy of the U.S. is probably going to be massive. So we have the election year coming up. Joe Biden's going to run on the strength of the stock market. And they're going to fuel, so money, as they lower the interest rates, money is going to go into risk-on situations, as well as if they do a lot of quantitative easing, which I think they will, that's going to put a lot of money out there, which will then flow into assets. So it'll flow into stocks, and you'll see the stock market do even better than it's doing. You'll see the crypto market absorb a whole ton of that money. And so you'll see a pump because of that, because of what was going to happen in 2024 anyway, because of the Bitcoin halving. And then you're also going to see institutional money really be able to come in for the first time. And the combination of those things together is going to be absolutely crazy. Like most people don't understand what is going to happen. And it's going to run in different narratives at different times. But overall, crypto is going to go absolutely bananas. And the likelihood, it's about 90% likely it happens this year, 10% likely it happens next year. So my bet's on 2024. And as it goes absolutely crazy, we will see a bull run, possibly even a super cycle. And a super cycle is one that exceeds the normal range of what Bitcoin usually goes up by. Like every 4 years, the run is less than it was before. So if it breaks that trend and goes farther than it had been, or even the same extent of what had done in previous cycles, well, then that would be a super cycle. And what's interesting about human behavior is humans, we totally chase green candles. So if we have a massive run more than normal, the amount of people who are going to wake up to crypto and want to invest in it is like 70% of the world, which could create a cash influx that would be absolutely nuts. And it's going to spread into first Bitcoin and ETH, and then into all these other narratives. And at a certain point, people are going to go crazy for digital collectibles as they wake up to them, because there's this awareness cycle that happens. And I've been watching it since 2017. During the bear market, nobody really pays attention to crypto. Oh, I was right on it. Bitcoin's stupid, blah, blah. It'll never replace gold. And all of a sudden, they see the price hit a price that in their mind could never happen unless they were wrong on Bitcoin. And so then it starts the wheels turning. They start investigating what's going on with Bitcoin. Maybe I'm wrong on it. When they start investigating, they figure out, wow, Bitcoin might be a replacement for gold. That's amazing. But then they start to find all this other technology. And they're like, wow, digital collectibles. Wow, oh my gosh, digital finance that can replace the banks. Oh my gosh. And they have this awakening. Well, that awakening is started off by massive green candles. So I watched in 2017. I thought I was late coming in 2017 because you always think you're late when you come into crypto. You're still pretty early, but you're not as early as you were in 2017. But even then, I felt late. 2017 had a big run, 2018 a little bit, and then it tapered off. And nobody who wasn't already in crypto even wanted to hear about crypto in 2019, 2020. 2021, you had another wave of, oh my gosh, Bitcoin hit prices I didn't even think that was possible. So let me now pay attention. And a whole new wave came in, and some of the 2017 crowd actually washed out. It was amazing. Like 80% of the 2017 crowd washed out during the next years. And some of them did not even come back in 2021. So we'll see the same thing. We've seen the same thing happen, since 2021 is like 20%, if that, of the people are even still around. But in 2024, this wave of people that's going to come in is going to be a percentage of the whole globe. And it might even be as much as 50%. And if that happens and institutions can now buy crypto, we will have a super cycle that'll be absolutely crazy. But keep in mind, if we do have that kind of run, like a massive super cycle, what goes up does go down. And it'll feel like, oh my gosh, it's never going to stop going up. Oh, yes, it will. And it will reverse really hard. And those that don't understand it will be punished by it. So don't let that be you. If you're here now, you're actually part of the elite, right? Because you stuck around. Look how many people are fudding and crying and they're gone. Some people just leave. Some people stick around to fight and cry. I don't understand them. The people that leave just get bored or they got wrecked and they don't understand what's happening. So they didn't realize what principles they needed to learn. And they just left thinking, oh, maybe I was wrong on crypto or I don't understand it and I'm getting wrecked by it. I understand them. The fudders that stick around to whine and complain and cry with everyone, I don't understand them. But then there's the elite, which is you, that have stuck around, continued dollar cost averaging, and more importantly, learning how to be good at this. What other thing in your life could you spend 4 years becoming, or 5 or 6 years becoming really, really good in part-time on top of your job that could change your finances like what crypto investment, passive crypto investment could do for you? Nothing. Now, when I say passive crypto investment, I think people do way better when they invest for longer periods, that you buy in the bear market and you hold till the bull market. I've seen the people that do that, whether their IQ is high or low, do very, very well. The people who try the day trading thing in crypto, 99% of them do poorly and they lose money. That doesn't work out well at all. So when I talk about passive crypto investing, I'm talking about buying in the bear market, holding to the bull market, and then selling, and then do it again. What else could you learn to become good at that part-time can make you an absolute millionaire? Well, yeah, I guess you could start up a Microsoft or something if you really could. And you could maybe become one of the richest people in the world. But most people don't have that capability. I don't have that capability. I couldn't do that. But I can invest part-time. That's how I started in crypto, was just part-time on top of my job, learning these principles, getting punished by some mistakes I made, some FOMO that I chased into, other things, and got good at these principles. I did have some investing background prior to crypto, and that helped, though I still went through a bunch of these mistakes myself, got punished, noticed the mistakes, and was like, okay, I'm not going to do that again, and learn and kind of perfected a system that works very, very well. And gosh, I'm so excited, because what other thing can you do to make this kind of money? Nothing.
So the thing I want to point out that I think is very important, at a very plausible scenario, Bitcoin's been going up over the last year, right? And especially since August, when the SEC lost that lawsuit with Ripple, or with Grayscale, where basically we believe that the spot Bitcoin ETF is coming, right? And so the price, I do believe that part of that is getting priced in right now. So there is the potential that on the announcement of the ETF, that Bitcoin drops as people are taking profits there. On top of that, it might drop even more because it takes about a month for the ETF, once it's approved, for them to really get everything in place, because they're technically not supposed to have bought the Bitcoin yet. But I'm guessing that they have, right? Like in roundabout ways. Like
you know how they did it. You know they did it. Dr. Stuff. They recently, BlackRock recently filed saying that JP Morgan is going to be one of the people they buy Bitcoin from for the spot Bitcoin ETS, and JP Morgan's already bought Bitcoin while they're telling everybody that they're telling the whole government that they should ban Bitcoin and crypto is terrible and they're all criminals. And they're all buying in the background again. It's not the first time they've done that.
Exactly. So it's going to take about a month, though, for that structure to get set up. And then again, like the institutional money that Rain talked about, that I've talked about on my last video that I did, which, by the way, you should watch if you haven't. It really builds on all of the catalysts that can make this, like Rain said, like a potential super cycle. But even if it's not a super cycle, just really bringing in the institutional money and the reasons why they didn't come in before. It's not just the spot Bitcoin ETF. But it's going to take some time, and they're going to dip their toes in the water. They're not going to just be like throwing a ton of money at it. Well, I mean, okay. Let me take that back. A ton of, like, it's all relative, right? They will be throwing a ton of money at it, but not for their bags, right? They're going to be throwing in like 2 to 3 basis points, which is nothing to them, but it's actually like tens of millions of dollars, right? Like potentially like hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's just to start out. And so, but be prepared for a potential dip in the price of Bitcoin, and then a gradual shoot up. And then on top of that, though, we're going to be getting so much marketing from all of these companies. If the SEC approves all of the spot Bitcoin ETF applications at the same time, which I believe they will, you're going to start getting retail. So this has never happened before. So I know that we do like to look back historically and say, oh, this is what's happened, or Bitcoin halvings and all of this. But we are in a completely uncharted territory with all of this money coming in and the manipulation that they are going to also do with that. So be aware of that. And again, like we've said so many times around the EcomiVerse, you need to set markers of price points at which you're going to exit out of some of the tokens. Hopefully you have been stacking during the bear, but this is what is so difficult about buying during the bear. And Rain talked about this too, right? When he was talking about Myriad, and people are like, well, I'm waiting for some sort of validation. They need a game. They need something. There's always some sort of justification as why they're not doing it. I've been buying this entire bear market, and it sucked because I would buy and then the token would go down. And I'm like, I could have bought lower, but I'm going to buy now. And then it goes down again. It's like, I could even had more, right? But so it was frustrating from that standpoint. But most people at that point in time, right, that's where they wash out. They're like, it's never going up anymore. You know, it's just going to continue to go down. And then they leave, you know, and that's where the biggest gains are made, were the people who bought at the bottom, right? I give that perfect example. I continue to talk about this token, Genome's DAO, right? That like it was like it's gone like a 16,000% from its bottom like a year ago. It was insane, right? And like I thought it was dead, but I held on to my tokens, right? But then like I have bought more since, because I'm just like, you know what, like it's going to hit a narrative. Decentralized science is still pretty new, and I think that will be something that goes forward. But like all the people who could have bought at those extreme lows and made massive gains when the token pumped, they didn't. But the people who are spending like $20 buying at the low, that $20 is worth like 30,000. Like it's crazy. So anyways, stuff to be aware of going into 2024.
Well, so I have a question for Randy here. Randy, what are your thoughts or speculations on bronze tickets crafting? Would love to craft a gold OMI.
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple ways to take that. Like, what does crafting do for OMI, or what are we going to be able to craft? Most likely, probably what are we going to be able to craft? Something exclusive. I don't know what the minimum amount of OMI needed in order to qualify for some bronze tickets that you needed by yesterday. And I don't know when they went over this. They had mentioned you need to do it by January 1st, but they never specified, to my knowledge, what time you need to do that, like what time you need to be in the world because if you're 12:01 a.m. New Zealand time, that is not 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Eventually, yesterday they had said, "Oh, you need to have it done by 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time." Okay, that would have been really nice to know, and that was only available in the Discord. So I really think that would have been nice for people to know beforehand, because there's a bunch of people that waited to the last day to do it, but they were trying to bridge and they were trying to do stuff, and while going to that bridging system, it's like, oh, it's low gas fees, but then it actually was more, so they didn't put enough in, so people were getting hecked with that. And bridging's, I feel like, a little bit difficult anyway. Anyway, there's not going to be a ton of people that are going to have access to that, but you could have up to 10 million there. I mean, you could have more, but the benefits only go up to 10 million OMI. How many bronze tickets we're going to get, I don't know. You will be able to average that out. So if you only have 1 million, 5 million, whatever, you will be able to go before Q2, put in up to 10 million, and then you'll average that out over the year. But for season 1 bronze tickets, you'll probably be able to do something with them in April. We'll likely get a article about that in March. It's just going to be something exclusive. I don't know if they're going to start with VeVe specific IP or VeVe specific product. I know Ron English has been really awesome with the gold and silver VeVe logo, taking some of his creations that he could very well sell on VeVe, but he doesn't. It's like, oh, this is an airdrop just for having the gold and silver logo. So they might do something with that. What does that do for OMI? I mean, that is some really cool utility, because you're going to be able to go, and the only way you can get that is by having X amount of OMI. 10 million OMI right now is, it's hard. $7,000, if you're working paycheck to paycheck, it's not going to happen. But if you have a little bit left over each month, that's still, it's kind of a mission to get there. I do think that'll come down over time, just because, when we do like a 10x, thank you, B-dubs. I don't even know if that's on mine or if that's on your guys.
I think it's on mine, actually.
Oh, very
Woo! Nice. I finally got a shout out. Thanks, guys. Thanks, B-dubs.
But if you have a, if you have OMI that is not 0007, and let's just say it's 005. I mean, I know you guys think it's going to be multiple cents this year, but let's just say it's half a penny. Okay, well, now just 1 million OMI is $5,000. So what do you need, like $50,000 to get 10 million? That's so much. Like no one's going to be able to do that. So I think season 1 bronze tickets, I don't know when they'll expire. I don't know if we'll ever, but I think that's going to be pretty special, because not a lot of people have that. I mean, there are like 25,000 active monthly users on the app, and on the day, maybe sometimes we'll get like 5,000-6,000 on like a cool drop. There's not going to be a lot of people that have those bronze tickets, so I think that's pretty special to get it right now.
Charlie D has a question: full golden moment set or 4 million OMI?
It's a hard call, because the price has been punished so bad on both of those, so they're both good options. Which one will outperform? I really don't have a magic crystal ball to know. I just, I like the OMI personally, but the golden moments, like, they might end up with a really special place. There's a strong chance that they do end up as grails, and if so, those could do exceptionally well. I am pretty particular about what VeVe collectibles I'm stocking up during the bear market, and I'm looking for things with grail potential. I think the golden moments fall in that the chance that they are grails that everybody wants, because what I'm thinking about is this something everyone's going to want 10 years from now? And those are going to be what I consider to be the grails. And so those initial golden moments, the early release golden moments, probably will fall into that.
We got a lot of comments.
What's going to pump first? I mean, if you're, and what are you doing?
That's impossible to tell. What will pump first, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're doing this for, at the end of the day, just to get more money, well, then you're going to want to play that arbitrage. You're going to want to go and say, okay, I'll get whatever pumps first. What pumps first? I don't know. It seems that the way Steamboat Willie is going, as soon as VeVe decides to do marketing, it seems like it shouldn't be that big of a stretch or that big of a leap for, to create their own narrative to bring people in. What would it cost? Like $250,000 to go get a bunch of the top influencers and be like, hey, look at this, look at this, look at this. I mean, how much did that dude make yesterday? And how many I mean, and that's just from a random dude from something that's not even licensed. Take something that's licensed, has a finite amount. You have mint numbers on top of that, so you have like this game. Yeah, it won't take that long for VeVe to go create their own narrative, and then you have on top of that saying, "Oh, hey, we have this Coca-Cola thing. Go and make your own photo or story with this Coca-Cola vending machine, and you get this giveaway." I mean, that's unfortunately limited to just people that can get those Coke machines, but you're going to have a lot of really cool stories and the chance of it going viral. The more people do that.
People don't understand the changes that happen from like as the bull run comes on. One of the good examples that showed me what digital collectibles could do was, back in October of 2020, NBA Top Shots had released. And so they were kind of like they were kind of like NFTs, basketball cards, but instead of just having a picture, had an actual video moment. So like LeBron James dunking the ball or something. And I thought, wow, this is cool. I know how, if this were like the first basketball cards on the blockchain, that would be a big deal. I don't know how video moments will do, but I suspect they'll do very well. But I don't know. It's unproven. So I put about $1,100 in just buying packs. And then specifically, I bought a LeBron James for $58. And what happened is as Bitcoin took off, awareness of crypto took off. And guess what? Basketball players, professional ones, were talking about the different moments. And these things went absolutely crazy. That LeBron James I bought for like $58 went to $19,000. And it's now come back down to like 500 or something, right? So, okay, it's still up almost 10x from what I bought it at, but it went to $19,000. And that's because the digital collectibles narrative hit. And even though 2021 only got a fraction of the population, it was a much bigger fraction of the population than actual collectibles they had for everyone. And so the prices got bid up like crazy as there was some massive FOMO and buy pressure. That will happen again. And so like people who haven't been around for 4 years and seen these patterns play out, they just don't know. And I did have the benefit before I was in crypto. These same patterns played out in real estate and even stocks, but the time frames are much, much longer. So real estate, the market from top to the next top is like 21 years, sometimes 23. It takes forever. And in crypto, we have a 4-year cycle from top to the next top. It's not even quite 4 years. And the swings are huge. So literally, if you're buying low, and you're buying somewhat decent projects that have a good likelihood to be able to survive into the coming bull market, and you just hold them until you see hear about grandmas buying Bitcoin and crypto, and then you sell at that point, you make incredible money and you outperform actually like 96% of the people in crypto just by doing that. And it doesn't even take very high intelligence. However, that's not what you see everybody doing. What do you see? A whole bunch of people who were talking about OMI to the moon at 1.4 cents now doing? Saying, oh, OMI's dead. OMI's not going to survive. So literally they're my buying opportunity, those type of people. And those same type of people are my exit liquidity when I go to sell. Why? This is why 95% of people do bad in crypto, because they do what their emotions tell them. They, at 1.4 cents when it was going crazy, they thought this is never going to stop. And it does. And so they were buying, or they had bought prior to that and they didn't take any profits. And now at the very bottom, they're just finding all these reasons to be so mad at Ecomi. And if they were doing this and this and this, then the price would be higher. And I'm out. I don't believe in the team anymore, or bad leadership, or whatever they say. And they think their argument is nuanced. And that argument is just, since the beginning of markets, they're the ones that are selling the bottoms and buying the tops. Don't be that person. And when you see someone else being that person, you're not going to be able to talk sense into them. So I don't know, you can try, but you'll just think about this conversation we're having now, because if you're here now, I suspect you're going to get pretty good at this, that you're going to give yourself the time, allow yourself some mistakes and figure this out. And you won't make those same mistakes multiple times, and you'll get really good at this. And I don't know why in 5 or 6 years, you won't be financially free. As long as you're investing significant enough amounts, and you're following enough of the right principles, I don't see why you're not financially done in 5 or 6 or 7 years. And you'll be thinking about this as you see these patterns play out over and over again, and you'll just kind of laugh because now you can see through the matrix. You see why 95% of people do bad, and they think their argument's so nuanced, and you'll just kind of smile to yourself and be like, wow, yep, cool. All right. Thank you for people like that, I guess.
We've got a really good one here. Who here saw the OG Volts FUD video? You want to see it?
Anyone?
Dr. Stuff? Randy, you didn't watch it? I saw the whole. I watched the whole thing. He basically said I saw comments earlier. That's why I wanted to bring this up. I saw comments earlier about it saying he basically said that he didn't think VeVe actually ever minted on GoChain with the NFTs there. So that was the biggest premise.
Is that what he said? He thinks
that is such a lack of understanding. Like, that's a joke. Like, so either that's intentional, right? And he's just intentionally doing that because for a myriad of reasons, right? He is very bitter and salty towards VeVe and all of that, or he doesn't understand the tech. But it's a private blockchain. You know, like whether you like it or not, right? Like you can have all those debates about all of that, right? But I'm sorry.
I thought there were addresses, right? You could see the address things were minted. He said
just like destroys any credibility, and that's the problem with people. Like, you can make good arguments, but if you kind of lead or like one of your main tenets is something that's just so foundationally incorrect, it's tough to then take the rest of whatever they're saying seriously. And that's tough. Because maybe he made some good points, you know, like, again, I have said, and I will continue to say, there are things that the VeVe team has done and said that did not happen, or that people felt misled by that. And I get it, right? I made decisions based on things that I was told were going to be happening that didn't happen. Right. And there's that, but like, no, I can't, because I don't feel like there's such a strong bias against the team that it's not worth my time to try to pick out any snippets of something that might be worthwhile to listen to.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, like you said, there may or may not have been, you know, one or two decent points in there, but a lot from what I've seen from, and I won't mention any specific names, but from people that are kind of known for this, I feel like they cherry pick a lot of data to serve their clearly biased argument while bashing the team, while starting fights within the community, starting fights with other communities, while having VeVe in their name. And it's like, okay, no wonder you're blocked. No wonder like the team wants something to do with you. Like, this is stupid.
The beast says his timelines were off, his facts were skewed. He used videos from July to prove something they said in October. It was all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, he could be sued, right? If they wanted, Ecomi could go and sue him now for defamation, probably.
For what? Like, what are they going to sue him for?
He doesn't have any money, and like, it won't stop him. He'll create.
He doesn't have any money,
and like, and like, then the news is like, oh, like, here's this team that they're selling, like, they're suing a community member who's jaded. Like, it wouldn't go well for them, honestly. Yeah, so they're not going to, right? But
Bitcoin over 44,000.
Yeah, but my thing is this, and I really try to stay away from like attacking people, and it's sad because I feel like, you know what, Vault, if someone did that to you, right? Like, if someone made a freaking video and put your clown face on there and all that stuff and and attacked you, it's just, think about that, man. Like, I don't know. So no, I'm not going to give it any credence. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to support that kind of crap, you know? Because that's what it is. I think that you can attack an argument, and you can attack, you can bring up the issues, and we should. I will never, like, we have to be vocal about the concerns. We have to continue to do that. Continue to push that up to the team so that they hear the community, right? That's all good. But when you attack people personally like that and call them scammers and dress them up in clowns and stuff like that, like, that's so disrespectful, first and foremost. And then on top of that, just like, I will never support that. And like, I wish that you guys, like, don't support it either, right? Try to support the people who are putting out good information that bring up concerns in a constructive way. Support those creators, content creators. Please do that, because that will wash away people like that in these type of videos that really do not add a lot of value to the space.
Rain, we got a question for you. When do you think Ran from Crypto Banter will utter the word OMI? What's it going to take?
He'll utter it late, right? So Ran he is one of the YouTubers that actually is a pretty decent investor. So what I thought when I was new in the space in 2017 was that if people had a YouTube channel, they knew what they were talking about. And I should have known better, because I had done real estate and other types of investment. So like they were all more experienced than me. Even some of them I later learned they only had 3 or 4 months more experience than me in crypto. So I just thought they knew a bunch. What I learned is most people with YouTube channels aren't necessarily good investors. Rand falls into the category. He's actually a pretty decent investor. Does seem like he gets everything right, because when he talks about a crypto that it then pumps 3x, well, that's essentially his audience buying it. And he does like talk a lot about meme coins, and he kind of creates his own pumps. And like, I don't like that aspect, but he usually is late to the game on things that he doesn't create the pump himself. So when OMI goes absolutely crazy, then Crypto Banter will be talking about it, and he'll be doing videos on why it's going to go another 5x from here. So of all the YouTubers, he's one of the better ones. I actually catch his show maybe 1 out of 3 days, and he gives pretty good information, and he has a financial analyst background. So I like the way he looks at things and some of the nuances he figures out. Now, I never buy based on what he says he likes ever, but I love his information. And so I get a lot of good information from him. And he will talk about OMI late, unfortunately. He's just generally, like most YouTubers that have really big channels, they're generally unaware of what OMI is. They don't know the fundamentals behind it. They're not good. In fact, most YouTubers are really good talkers. Most are terrible investors. I'll share with you one YouTuber who's an incredible investor. I wish I was as good as him, and it's Crypto. But he no longer talks about altcoins, though that's where he made his wealth. He made massive, massive wealth through trading altcoins. And he used to talk about them in 2017 and 2018. And he stopped because there was worry about the regulators might come after people. And so he only covers Bitcoin, and he only covers Bitcoin leverage trading, which I don't like that he covers that, because most people who try to follow him get absolutely wrecked. But he trades, he talks about Bitcoin because it's pretty easy for him to do videos, because he's a billionaire through investing himself. Those are the type of people you want to listen to, but he doesn't actually cover the type of stuff that made him rich, unfortunately. And that's the problem. Like another YouTuber who's really, really good, his name was Ian Bellina. Well, guess what? He doesn't really make YouTube videos anymore. Why? Because he's rich, because he made his wealth through actually investing. All the other YouTubers, most of them, they're not rich through crypto investing. If they have a big channel, they make really, really good money from their sponsors. And the YouTube revenues are some, but it's usually from their sponsors and other things. And so, unfortunately, I wish there was more I could say that were great. I do try to catch Crypto Banter because his analysis and his background as a financial analyst is great, and I get some good information. I wish there was someone out there that I could watch all their picks and their analysis behind it, like the kind of videos Crypto used to make. And I could just like listen and be like, oh, yeah, he makes such a good point there. Unfortunately, there's not that. And I wish there was, I do listen to, I don't know, a myriad of other channels trying to get it. But back to the question of Crypto Banter, he'll come into the party late with OMI, and then he'll talk about it, and he'll do videos on why it's going to keep running. Like the digital collectibles narrative will hit, just like we saw blockchain gaming hit. I mean, one of the previous comments was brilliant, talking about ICP, because Internet Computer Protocol. Just back in mid-October, I talked about somebody on my Wednesday show asked us to look at it. I looked at the price, and it had bottomed, and the pattern was absolutely beautiful. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a buy. This is probably going to reverse, though I can't say when. And it was all the way down at $3. 2 months later, it's at $13. What new thing did ICP do? I don't even know. They might not have done anything new. They might have just come into the narrative. So I hope people can kind of look at these patterns and realize it's not anything that Ecomi is doing wrong. It's just the narrative hasn't hit yet. Sure, there are a few things that they could do better and maybe the price would be a little bit higher. Yes, but why would you want that? Well, you would only want that if you were completely done buying and you didn't want to buy any more OMI and you just want the price to go up. But here's what I'd ask you. Why are you done buying OMI? Now, I can understand if like 90% of your portfolio that you put into crypto is allocated into OMI, that might be a good time to be allocating to other things. But like, why would you be done buying OMI? What are you going to buy? Some blockchain gaming project that just went 10 or 15x? Are you going to dollar cost average into those at those prices? Or are you going to dollar cost average into a narrative that hasn't hit yet? That's what I do. And so I want the price where it's at now. In fact, I would not cry if it went down to half or a tenth of what it's at. I would be happy. But a lot of people don't think that way. Of course, the audience probably thinks that way, but a lot of the rest of the people haven't learned to think that way because they're still running around crypto doing what the 95% do. That makes it so even if their timing's pretty good, their gains at best are modest. And then they get wrecked because they don't sell the top because they think it's going to go up for forever. And this is how 95% of people do bad. And I'm trying to help some people get this that are smart. They kind of understand these principles, but they just didn't know they applied to crypto and save them some of the learning curve that I had to go through so they can have better results than me. You know, when I was new, though I did really well, I could have done really, really, really well. I wish I'd had a channel like what I now have, where I could have learned from my mistakes earlier, but it wasn't there, right? So I had.
Jojo was saying Crypto Banter interviewed David Yu. Sorry, Rain, to cut you off there.
I didn't realize he had interviewed him, but
that's how Jojo found VeVe Know Me. Yeah, so it's interesting.
I'll have to look at that. That'll be interesting to see that interview from.
It must be really old. Like it
3
must
years
be
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, 28.
They did interviews with a lot of people. They had like Christian Lark. They had interviews with a bunch of people when they were like, I don't even think the app was up yet, where they did that.
Interesting. So that would have been bottom of the bear market, right? And they probably would have had to pay to do those interviews because, you know, when the token is doing amazing, then they'll get reached out to and these projects will want to bring them on after it's already gone 50x. But the only way they get it on a really big channel when the token's performing poorly is by paying for it. And so they probably put some money into that, which probably didn't lead to the price pumping that much because it didn't really pump that much until January, February 2021. And the app had already been out for like 3 or 4 months.
Awesome. And we got a great comment here. Once we can spend OMI bronze tickets, MCP points is the first functional utility loop. There'll be a lot to prove as a utility token.
I mean, it's possible we get the OMI to accessory in VeVeVerse, you know, in the next 3 months before we're able to use bronze tickets. So I would say we don't know what's going to be like. And how do you define like true utility? Like, is it because it burns OMI? Is that a true utility, or is it something where you get something for holding it? It depends how you define it.
Yeah, I reckon that would be so cool. I can't wait. I thought we'd have burning already, guys. I thought we'd have burning already. 2024. What's that burning?
Jordan, you the other day you had mentioned on Twitter, so it was public. Somebody asked you about selling, and I think you have maybe about as much as I do now, because you had like 220, and now you have like 170.
I've got about 120 million OMI now.
Oh, so damn! You sold like half.
I had 220 at one point, so I sold about 100 million.
You had said
some of the stuff I put that into has already doubled, so I've already made my money back,
which is great. And you've said that you would have kept it if they had delivered half of what they promised, but you didn't say like a timeline. And what they promised and what they've been talking about, I feel like, are two different things.
Even like bronze tickets, like they didn't, they like we were supposed to get those months and months ago. I was thinking like latest December, right? And then they, announced that we're going to have soft bronze tickets in January through all the way to March, where it's not even burning OMI, right? So that really disappointed me. And no exchanges or anything this like whole year. Oh, sorry, last year. We're in 2024, guys. I got to get used to this. No exchanges at all last year. That was disappointing as well. And
But,
like I
you
saw some
didn't.
comments saying we only talk about the positives of OMI, but it's not true. We're pretty balanced on this panel. We talk
not
about the
true.
negatives as well. So
Yeah.
some people haven't watched this show enough to know that. And I still love OMI. That's why it's still my biggest bag. It's OMI and Bitcoin. OMI, Bitcoin, ADA, and Solana all like basically even right now in my portfolio. So it's still a huge bag. Like 20% of my portfolio is OMI.
But will you
but at
ever
one
go
point
back
it was
in?
Pardon? It was 100% last year. Well,
Will you ever
2020.
go back in, or is it like, I have my bag, these other ones are doing well, and I
That's the
don't want
thing,
to
man. Like if OMI sits still for the next 3 months, and I know what's coming right after March, after sort of April onwards, OMI should start to do a little bit better. If it sits still and all my other stuff's flying, I don't see why I don't move more profits into OMI. I might end up with a bigger bag than I ever had. So I'd love to get $250 million, like 250 million. That would be cool.
I mean, you could do that pretty easily. But back in the day, announce Marvel, we doubled. Announce Disney, we go up like 80%. So I'm not going to say that any big announcement is going to be, they're going to burn a bunch of the circulating supply starting this year.
All of it eventually.
Yeah. But this year they have, at least this quarter, if not this month, we do get music, we get the jukeboxes, we get vinyls, but we don't know exactly of which artist. So if we have like a super big artist, or even something that's, I'm not saying it'd be like the Beatles or anything, but if we get like Steve Aoki, or if we just get someone that people really like, that's, young and hip, I feel like that could also do something without having anything to do with the token. It's just something cool that's coming to VeVe. Do you concur, or is that a?
Win some damn exchanges. Sorry, the comments are just hilarious. I want to thank, I don't know who this is, JF2025. No, never heard of them before. So thanks so much for the $10 shout out.
Yeah.
I think that's on my channel as well. Whoa, 2 shout outs on my channel.
Get that bread.
I think it's the most I've ever had.
Let's go, Jordan.
It's nothing like that. Were you guys there for the Chad's NFT Pirates show where he got like $1,800 or something?
Yeah, it was nuts. I wish I knew about that. I would have went and been a part of it. I didn't know until it was like over. I was like, oh.
I also want to address this one, Pink Panther. I dumped very slowly and carefully, and I never really moved the price. So,
Jordan, sure.
It was not a big dump.
Sure, I saw those red wicks. All because of you. Thank you, Jordan. Could you sell the rest of it, please?
Yeah, no, the amount of volume we have, I could have dumped it all in one day, and you would have had one red candle go straight back up the next day. There does seem to be crazy liquidity around 0.0066 to 0.007. There's a huge amount of buying pressure there. So I don't think we have a problem of it ever going back to its all-time low of like the last couple of years. So I am very confident in OMI going up over time. And yeah, if you're gonna dump it, it's not gonna drop very far. But Rain's gonna pick it up. That's what he said. So
I don't trade like you did. One of my rules is I don't sell what's down to roll into other things, because right now, like, it's like, sweet, you're up 2x. What if all of a sudden those reverse on you? Solana, if you're holding Solana's gone through an epic pump, and epic pumps are followed by epic retracements. And nobody's predicting it right now, which is part of the reason why I'd be very concerned. And then all of a sudden you're not ahead anymore. So it's like you're ahead right now, but you haven't sold. And you
I did actually sell some Solana at that local peak recently. I sold a decent bag of my Solana.
Smart, because things go up and then they go down. And so we're not in the bigger bull market. And sometimes the runs continue, and it's hard to figure out what will. So the steps I take is I sell things that are way up to roll into other things that I like that are still down and the narrative hasn't hit. Now, does that always work out? No, sometimes the things I sell that are way up, they run up way up more. But it usually works out pretty well on the things that I'm buying that are down. And one of the reasons I made overall 100x from the bottom to the top so the bottom of the bear market, where my portfolio was less than I put in. It went 100x from that point to the top. And part of the reason is because some things went up like 20x, and I rolled up money into things that went up 10x. So overall, that money went 200x. But my principles that I was still formulating and figuring out then was I only sell positions that when they're up. I try to take smart placements and then hold them through whenever they're down. And I don't pull it out until they've run up. And sometimes people say, yeah, you end up riding all the way to the bottom. Yeah. But if you're picking pretty good, 10% or less goes all the way to the bottom. So the number is negligible. If I sold things when they were down, I would have sold my Axie Infinity when it was down. And I would have missed out on the 100x that it went up. And had I not rolled that money into other things so early, it went a total of 3,000x up. And yet I would have sold it when it was down. And so that's the risk of selling when things are down or boring and rolling into other things that like where they're more fun and more active, unless you're just taking those trades quickly and then rolling the money back in. Because at some point, the digital collectible narrative is going to hit and it's going to catch you by surprise. And then you think, I'm going to wait for a retracement. And there won't be that retracement. And it keeps running up. And then it's like, yeah, you're just buying back in at 5 times the price of what you had sold. That is often what happens. Now, it may not play out that way. What I learned in crypto is we're just trying to stack the odds in our favor because we don't have a magic crystal ball to know how it's playing out. So I try to take bets where the odds are massively in my favor, not only for not losing my money, but also for crazy massive gains. Not only in crypto can you have these kind of odds.
I also want to address this as well from Dodge Nation. He basically said Jordan Belfort, just an interview with Tucker Carlson, he recommends a Warren Buffett approach. The thing is, Warren Buffett didn't use that approach to make his millions. He used it once he had millions and billions, right? I read a like 800-page book by Tony Robbins, and he interviewed like the 50 or 100 billionaires basically that came from nothing and they made it. And they all, like, overall, he recommends that you pretty much do the same thing as Warren Buffett, like the very slow, just go index funds over time. And that can work if you want to make money over 30, 40 years. I don't want to be like 70, 80 years old, wealthy. Yeah. I'd rather be wealthy in the next 5 to 10 years, right? Yeah. So I definitely took on board as that's something that can work. But I think realistically, including inflation, it's not even going to really work now. I think that's an old method, and that's trying to get people, it's trying to get the masses to buy the index funds that these big wealthy people already have tons of, so they can dump on you. That's
so you nailed it. This is one of the controversial statements I'm going to make though for 2024. I truly believe that VeVe is going to get on at least one significant exchange, at least one, if not multiple, this year. If it doesn't happen, then like look, like OMI to me is a write-off. Then at that point, like, because I think that they will miss a lot of it. Like, but I am looking at, and this is the important thing that you try to do as an investor, right? You do listen to what people say. And I made that mistake early on when I listened instead of also looked at the actions of what was actually happening, right? But now we can look at the actions of what's happening, like Randy talked about, right? They hired an EcomiVerse community manager. They just got an EcomiVerse Discord, right? They're going to a crypto conference in France. Those are the actions that are saying we are getting ready to ramp up everything for EcomiVerse. So for me, I do believe that exchanges are coming, and I will own it at the end of the year if the exchanges aren't there. This is also why we talk about diversification on here, right? Because not all of these are going to pan out. I have a lot of faith in OMI as like a long-term token. I could still be wrong on that, right? And it's not going to wreck me if that's all I have. That's why Rain and I talked to Jordan about diversification, and it took him a while. It took Jordan a while. I lose like months and months and months of us talking to him before he was kind of like, yeah, maybe I should. And Randy still isn't there. That being said, if OMI goes crazy, Randy would be the richest of all of us, right? Like,
Randy, we're going to your yacht.
The high risk, very high reward on those type of bets, and that's just not my style there. But guys, I truly believe exchanges are coming. This is not financial advice, but this is what I'm doing, and that is one of the reasons. Like, I continue to buy OMI, but not with like I'm not just putting everything into OMI. I continue to diversify, right? I just said in the chat, like Celestia, I think is actually going to go do very, very well this cycle.
Which one was that?
Celestia.
Celestia. I can't
Yeah,
find
Tia.
that.
So they just launched, but there's going to be a lot of
Oh, not Solana.
no, it's not Solana. Like a lot of activity on Celestia that's going to move through there. And so I definitely think that is going to be a very high profile token and can do very well this cycle there. But like there's a lot of these different projects there. So if you guys aren't diversified, I do think that it's something to think about. But like Rain said, if you're selling at the bottom, right, to jump into something else, it might 2x, it might 3x. But then if you don't sell out of that and you're just holding because you're thinking, oh, well, this is now the token that's going to do well, then OMI could far surpass that while your 3x goes to a 50% decrease or a 75% decrease, right? All of those things can happen. So it is funny to me when I sit there and I see some people and they're like, oh, like, here's my portfolio. Like, this is what I've done. And I'm like, yeah, but did you sell? Or are you still holding? Because then I'll wait 3 months later and that 6x that they had is now like a 2x. While the thing that they sold out of, right, just did a 5x. And so it is that thing. And it can be very deceptive looking at people touting their gains or their wins, but not actually cashing out, right? And then waiting to buy into the next low project and rolling that way. So that's one thing to be thinking about when you think about switching out of OMI into something else. You do what is best for you, right? But diversification is key. And there will probably absolutely be other tokens that outperform OMI, and there will be other tokens that OMI outperforms as well.
Yeah, awesome. I want to clarify as well that a lot of the OMI I sold, I'd actually bought really low at like around 0006. So a lot of it actually was in profit. But there was some OMI I sold that was in a loss. So, but that's, a loss is good because you can claim against the loss with your next gain. So it's not really that big a deal as long as you keep your capital. It's going to be really, really interesting what happens over the next 1 year with OMI. I think it's going to do extremely well. I do have a big bag for now Epico. You guys probably heard me talking about it before. I'll shill it a little. It's under 1 million market cap right now. It had a big dump today. So I bought a little bit more. The same way, we all bought OMI when it dipped. And I think Epico is going to do well. We know they've got a partnership with Ecomi still. And somebody privately sent me a message on Twitter saying that apparently Epico have some sort of game they're going to release in which you can use OMI collectibles. That was the post. It was something in December. I'm not sure exactly what that's about. In the private message, they speculate it might be Marvel Mighties. I mean, that would be amazing if we had an Epico game with Marvel Mighties, and I've just bought the Epico token. Oh, well, look at Bitcoin, 44444. That's
you have Brock McBlockchain, which has Fish, which he said that as soon as we're able to have some type of interoperability, Marvel Mighties will go in the Fish mech suits. So, I mean, it's any person, and I want to talk about this as well. I made a post on X super early this morning, and it was about, and you guys could do it too. It's just about YouTube analytics to see how much content you had made. And I did a total of 440 live streams and videos in 2023. I guess 441. I didn't count the one I did yesterday. And there are going to be dozens and dozens of people that are going to want to pump their channels when that narrative hits. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know about all. They're not going to know a single thing about VeVe or OMI. They're going to read my headlines. So they're going to read people's headlines. They're going to watch other people's videos. They're going to make bullet points out of that. This is what happened. So I don't want to like crap on the token there. But anyone will be able to go, like, again, Brock said, like Epico's doing, anyone will be able to take some of those assets and put it in a game in the VeVeverse. Anyone's going to be able to go and talk about OMI and talk about VeVe, just pump their channels just because that's going to happen. So I don't want to crap on those tokens, but I feel like just because you happen to build a game, and again, it could be in the VeVeverse, it could be not, it could be elsewhere. I don't know if that's really going to be a huge boon for anyone. I'm just trying to be a second.
We know you're an OMI Maxi. It's all good. Randy, I do have a question. Did you sell all your meme coins and get more OMI? Is that
no? So part of what I wanted to try to do 6 months ago was saying like, okay, I'll go, and there's actually Jeremy had a big, we were talking, and he's like, hey, listen, just diversify into something. So I started buying a lot more VeVe stuff. I did the 43 Luke Skywalkers. I did the number 41 logo sets, and I was like, all right, I'll just try some meme coins because just you see what happens with Pepe, you see what happens with Bonk, see what happens with everything. So I put in a decent amount, like 7,500 to Grumpy Cat and about 1,500 into Bojack. And I put about 3,500 into MMX, which is not a meme coin. That's just one of those big, M2 is just a big exchange of like the Middle East. And, if you do your due diligence on that, it's, I think 30% run by the Phoenix Group and 70% by the government or vice versa. And it looks like, hey, that could be their answer, like for people in the Middle East, like 2 Coinbase or 2 Binance, whatever, and maybe they could possibly suck up some of that stuff down on every single one of those. So, and right now, like the point of trying to do other stuff was be like, okay, I have, a pretty big bag of OMI already. Oh no, other stuff. If it hits, great. If not, no big deal. Currently it hasn't. I've also gone on and had a lot of fun stuff in real life, doing physical, real world things. So could I have put all that? I'd have over 200 million by now if I hadn't done any of that. But at the end of the day, it's fun. It's gambling. It's I am a gambler. I love doing that stuff. I don't know if I'll do any more meme coins. And I'm not saying Epico is like a meme coin. It clearly has a game that's very similar to Clash of Clans or Clash Royale, whatever it was called. If I wanted to make a big video on that, I'd be like, guys, they're trying to attack the Indian market. This is Clash Royale for 1 billion+ people. People in India, 700 million of them have smartphones. You could earn tokens this way. You can go and play with these characters. The lore is incredible. If you go and take a look on the time and effort they put on the designs and on the cards, you want to take it fast to it. Like, I could make the biggest suck my D video in the world for Epico. But it's just, there's 150 people on there, and it's not that anybody really sold, or maybe somebody sold, but they had a bunch of unlocks.
Yeah, they unlocked.
Why would I ever put anything into Epico when there's a bunch of unlocks that still need to happen?
Yeah.
Where VeVe and OMI, you have all the unlocks in there already.
OMI has no unlocks.
There's no unlocks. So why would I ever put any money into Epico? Now, could that go 100x? Could something hit? Absolutely. And I could be eating my words here, but like
it will.
OMI's, I think is going to.
It's only 100 million. It's less than OMI's market cap right now at OMI's low, right?
It's
100x right now. It's only 87 million market cap. Tiny. It's a baby.
But, yeah, I mean, I feel like I ranted on it for a while.
Convert you.
Making some comments.
Tell all your meme coins. Grab Epico, Randy.
Well, I don't know if you guys are seeing the comments because Rain is like, I told him that he's making market moves on his phone, but it did look like he's asleep. And Mike is like, go in peace, Rain.
All right, here we go.
Oh, so funny.
We got at least 4 comments.
Oh, so good. I love that. I love the chat.
What do you guys think of Bitcoin ordinals? Because I know that it's basically like an exploit they're doing, right? That's pretty much what most people have said. It's not supposed to happen.
I don't know what to make of them. The pattern isn't very clear, right? So I like to take bets where I feel like the chances are really good and that like I've got a 70 or 80% chance of winning. And if I win, it goes 10x or higher. So when I analyze that bet, I'm like, what are the chances that I win at these prices? I don't know, maybe 50%. And if I win, okay, it'll go higher. And if I lose, it'll go down significantly. So I'm not taking that bet, though they might just do fine. In fact, they probably will in the coming greater bull market. But if you're paying, say, $5,000 for something and it goes to $50,000, wow, you won, but that's really only a 10x. So you really didn't win if you could have put that money into something that went 50x during that time, right? So it feels like you won, but the opportunity cost of that was really high. So it's not a bet I'm taking, though. They'll probably do at least okay. Maybe they go absolutely berserk. It's just hard to tell. One of the reasons I stay away from meme coins, I stay away from most of the PFP, NFP, FT things It's just your percent chance that you're going to win isn't high enough. And if you do win, like, would it be outperformed by something else? Like, the research for those is harder. You have to be way deep in sentiment, basically FOMO sentiment, and you have to be way in touch with that. And that's just way harder to guess. The chances aren't stacked in your favor. It's the same kind of sentiment you have to keep track of to do well in meme coins. I just don't like the percentage chance of winning. It's like if you go into poker and you can find ways that if you perform and do poker a certain way, your chance, or blackjack is a better example. Blackjack is a certain way, your chances over time that you win massively are really big. Then why wouldn't you do that? There's other ways. Well, I could structure it this way and I could win 60% of the time and win 60% of the time and make, good money, but there would be a different way you could play things and win 90% of the time. So that's why I structure it how I do. It's just the highest efficiency patterns that I've ever seen. And that's where I focus my time. So I focus on early stage companies that usually haven't been through more than a cycle or two. Like Ecomi is one of the only ones that went through a massive bull run already that I invest in. A lot of the other stuff hasn't necessarily been through a bull run, or it came out in the last bull run, got punished tremendously during the bear market, and the prices are low. And then I'm waiting for that first major run that they go through. And so I feel like my chance of winning on those are 90%. If I'm right on them, they do 50x to 500x. And so all my time and money is focused on those rather than meme coins. It's like there's so many meme coins. And if you win, you might win. You're like, yes, I made 6x, but the opportunity cost of that was tremendous because you could have been in something that went 50x. So that's why I focus on where I do. And I leave like Bitcoin ordinals to the side, even though they'll probably do pretty well. And a bunch of meme coins. There will be 2 or 3 random meme coins that do like 5,000x. Okay, well, shoot. That means I'm going to miss those. But how many of the shit ones would I end up buying, hoping I got one of those 3 projects that did crazy and probably not end up being in one of the 3 projects? Is like the same reason I don't play the slot machine. Yeah, somebody next to me might win and be like, shoot, if I had just been at that machine, I could have made $10 million. Well, I wasn't at that machine, and the odds were stacked worse than what is acceptable to me. And that's why I do things the way I do and how I think about it. It's Bitcoin ordinals, not a play I'm taking, even though they'll probably be okay.
Awesome. So just talking about meme coins, I actually just want to tell everyone, meme coins are extremely dangerous. I've seen one of my friends got rugged recently, like hardcore. It went like he was dollar cost averaging in for like months and months, and he just dropped in one day. It's crazy.
Did you read Mike H's comment?
Oh, which one was I missed it? Oh, here we go. Rain, how about you focus less on undervalued coins and more on my rock hard body misunderstood emotions?
We love Mike H. He has like the funniest comment of the night.
He really does. He really does. I just recommend you guys make sure if you're going to do meme coins, just make sure it's a small percentage of your portfolio that you don't care if you lose. Mm-hmm. I've done that now. Like if you look, I've got all these really big plays, and the very bottom of my portfolio is just all these like shit coin, like basically meme coins. I've only put a tiny bit of money into, and if the thing is, if they do like 100x or 1000x, that small amount of money can end up being thousands and thousands of dollars that you can roll into real crypto.
Can I just address? Tommy had asked a question because I've talked a lot about like the legal concerns with just tokens in general and then securities, right?
This one?
Yeah. So about specific legal terms with prejudice without and date for another filing. So I don't know exactly like what filing he's talking about, but like there were some legal concerns, right? We still have that Ecomi lawsuit with Bengadenzi, like that's outstanding. I don't know if you're talking about that or if you're just talking about like the regulatory space in general and like the concerns is like, is OMI a security or not? Like the thing is basically the SEC has to prove it in court. We don't want it to get to that point because OMI would have to defend itself and it could literally spend hundreds of millions of dollars trying to do that. But we are starting to get a precedent that decision by in Ripple where basically the way it's coming across is I think it can be used, and it will eventually be used at some point. I believe if the SEC continues to go after tokens, is basically saying is once a token is launched on the secondary market, and people are just buying it through like decentralized exchanges and things, that it's no longer a security, and the secondary market buyers are not investors, right? It loses that contract, that investment contract, because you're not purchasing it from. You don't even know who you're purchasing it from. Like that was part of the argument that this judge made. So there's that, but there's still a concern. And if people are afraid of that, well, then don't buy any tokens. You know what I mean? Because honestly, but one of the things that I do believe that OMI or the team is kind of looking at, and why they're feeling like, hey, we can start getting on exchanges, is that they're implementing the utility behind it so that they can then really argue the case that, hey, this is now like a utility token as opposed to an investment contract type thing. So hopefully that's answering your question. Maybe Tommy, if that's not clear, but I do think that the EcomiVerse team is feeling a lot more sure about, or more solid footing. You got to imagine they have been talking with attorneys, and I guarantee you, talking with attorneys that either used to work for the SEC or their attorneys are talking to the SEC or like trying to understand this stuff right before they make these types of moves. And I know it's been frustrating, but look, 95% of the crypto space is not doing that. And they are putting all of their users at substantial risk by doing a lot of the things that they're doing, to be honest. So, but short term, right, that token will pump and then people can cash in and they cash out and make some good money. But the people left holding the bag could be really devastated. And I think that OMI and the team are really trying to step away from that. So hopefully that answered the question.
Awesome. I'm up 17,000 today in my portfolio. Let's go.
Get that bread.
Get it.
Wait, say that again.
I'm up 17,000 in my portfolio today.
You are. Oh, because Bitcoin. Okay. I thought that was a comment. Dude,
Bitcoin, Solana's pumping, ADA's pumping, everything. A lot of things are pumping.
Get that bread.
Down, unfortunately. OMI's down like
Let's
2%.
Go.
Rain, you're muted.
Bitcoin looks like it's breaking the upside, which means it's probably going to run. It probably has something to do with some people front running the ETF. There was a question earlier when the spot ETFs are approved, like, is it going to pump or is it going to dump? And like, it's hard to tell. 20% chance that, so I've seen this pattern in crypto for 7 years now, and they say buy the rumor, sell the news. What that means is when the actual event happens, the price usually dumps. Why? Well, because everyone was expecting to happen, and kind of the anticipation is what built up the price, and then it usually falls. But 20% of the time it runs like crazy, and so it's hard to tell which way it's going to play out. But over time, I've just seen that the numbers are 20% that it continues to run and 80% that actually comes back. Now, it's a big enough thing that when it happens, maybe it continues to run, but usually there is a pullback, and it kind of like scares people and depresses people, while the big money then uses that to load up a whole bunch more. And then the run then ensues after that, especially something like institutional money will be able to come into crypto. Like, most people don't realize this window of time they have is so special. When in history have regular people been able to front run institutions in anything? Name once. This is legendary. The Securities and Exchange Commission was not built to protect American citizens. It was built to protect the wealthy from American citizens. Now, probably they understood that from the get-go, or maybe it wasn't that way and it's become that. And it's the securities laws that have gotten in the way of businesses being able to buy crypto, while they couldn't find ways, and trust me, they tried to make ways so that you couldn't buy crypto, so that were not allowed to keep front running the institutions till they could open up to their friends in the institutions, and they couldn't find a way. But this is why Gary Gensler was trying to deem every altcoin a security. They clearly, most of them don't fall in the securities designation. So why was he trying so hard to make it that way, in this lack of clarity and everything? Because he doesn't want you to be able to buy till all his institutional friends can get in, because this is the first time in history that the regulators have created a system where you could front run the institutions, you could front run the big money, and most people are pissing away this opportunity. Oh, well, oh, well, like some of you are here and you get it and you're in exactly the right place. And it's going to be epic what happens from here. And we're going to look back on these conversations and kind of laugh about the people who didn't get it, who didn't understand what was going on. And the results that the people who did get it and understand what was going to happen when it happens, it will be amazing. Like literally a bunch of our friends and a bunch of the viewers and a bunch of people that we've gotten to know through crypto that really got this and ran hard with it are going to own like islands and yachts and crazy things. They will be like early Silicon Valley investors, but it will be even bigger. And so a lot of people have a hard time seeing, they just haven't seen these patterns enough. I've just kind of followed how people become rich since I was 14 years old. So when I saw this window of time and this opportunity, I understood it for what it was, although I was still bad before I became good at this. And figuring out what patterns to look for and everything. Well, cool. This is the best opportunity we'll probably ever see our entire lives. And one of it is a big chunk of that is going to be what happens over the next 12 months. And then hopefully we'll have another pretty decent cycle, like a pretty decent swing down, followed by some kind of swing up after that. Beyond that, I don't know if it continues. Once 100% of the population is able to get in crypto, aware of crypto and buying into it, the volatility will lessen over time. And so it's the big swings that creates the really good opportunities. OMI wouldn't be such a good opportunity if it didn't swing so far down and depress people and swing even further down because so many people are depressed at the price action and the team's not doing well enough. Well, it's those kind of big swings that creates the opportunity.
Yeah. And they're not the only one delaying the exchanges. I mean, you have, I imagine it came from the blockchain team saying, hey, based on X, Y, and Z, these patterns would have happened in the past. It's good to wait until around the halving. You know, Earth 2 is doing that as well. We're supposed to get exchanges last year or so as well, but we've had the CEO come out and say, we're going to have the white paper come out and then exchanges around the time of halving. So a lot of these companies are waiting. I mean, that's not, I don't think that's a $1 billion company yet, Earth 2, but it should be very close.
Bunch of companies are delaying because number one, it's harder to get on exchanges right now. The exchanges are being much, much more cautious. It costs you more. And down the road, as things are happening bigger in the momentum, these exchanges will be fighting to get these tokens to have some momentum going on. And so there's no reason to rush it. And if they did rush it, they'd get on a new exchange and not that much would happen with the price action. And then people would be complaining about that, saying they didn't do it right. What you're waiting is for the tide to come in or the rains to come, as I frequently say. When the rains come, like Ecomi won't be able to do anything wrong. They could totally screw up 17 days in a row with massive mistakes and their token would still like 50x. Why? Because the incoming tide will raise all boats and people that haven't experienced that don't get it at all.
I have something really cool to share. Oh yeah, it's here as well. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. You guys go check this out. This is something really cool. Come on, load up. Look at this, guys. Bronze tickets. We got a bronze ticket counter.
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's in the OMI.VeVe.me web wallet. Now you guys all know my username. Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm looking.
You see how my 10 million OMI?
Let's hack. Oh man, too bad I don't have any hacking.
Hack me. 0 bronze tickets. I guess today's the first day, so maybe tomorrow there'll be a bronze ticket there.
I think at 9 or 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it usually updates. Like that's what you get the new points each day.
Excellent.
The transferable, non-refundable, does not expire. That's really cool. And it's got the learn more here. Let's see what the learn more says. And it just goes to the big article. Okay. Cool.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty exciting. So thanks for that comment. It was Tour de Lance. You say that. Yeah, that guy. Thanks.
I'm glad you have the 10 million on there.
Yeah. And Mike has the really cool comment here. If you think Bitcoin is lifting off right now, imagine what's happening to my soul when rain dawned those Terminator shades. Imagine I was joking. We love you, Mike H.
So we've got about an hour and a half. Should we do the OMI price predictions for the?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll try and find those comments from earlier so I can put on the screen.
Oh, so long ago. I was asking.
We've got like a lot of comments today. By the way, we've had over 200 viewers for a while now. I think it's just dropped under it now, but we had over 200 live viewers the majority of the show. So I didn't really comment about it today.
Thanks,
oh man, it's hard to get down these comments. Who wants to go first? Is that you, Randy? You want to go first for the?
Yeah, I was talking with a couple friends about it this weekend, and they're like, "Okay, what's your price predictions for these dates?" And then the last date happened to be Christmas. So being obviously very conservative, and I know Rain and Dr. Stuff will have predictions double mine, but being very conservative, I'll say 1.5 cents.
1.5 cents. Okay.
Yeah, which is still like a 20x from where we are.
Yeah, about
at
20.
least like 20 bucks. So, but yeah, that's
Trying to find these comments. Doesn't really matter. There we go. That'll do it. December 2024 price
fine.
predictions.
My Xmas predictions. Yeah.
Yeah. Dr. Stuff, you go next.
End of 2024. It's going to depend on if we get those exchanges, which I believe we will. I'll just say that, like, I believe it'll be above its all-time high. So Randy says 1.5 cents. I think it'll surpass that, and I think that if it hits a narrative, it will do much higher than that. But we do need those exchanges. That's where that liquidity really comes in. Is so important. The ease of access to the token. Now Uniswap helps, right? But that helps for the crypto natives. But like getting on exchanges like a Binance, I don't think it's going to hit Coinbase. I don't think it's going to hit an American exchange. But if it can hit like the OKXs and the Binances, I'm not ruling that out, but I think it's a lot lower probability that we get on an exchange like Coinbase. But yeah, then I definitely think that we can hit much higher than its all-time high of 1.4 cents.
There's a few whales that I don't even know. It's one of my friends, a bunch of his friends that they didn't know you could get it on Coinbase Wallet. So like I did a video, it's be like, hey, you can go, and everyone had done videos on this like 2 years ago, but just a lot of newer people that come in just don't really know that you can just get it on Coinbase Wallet. It's just an extension. You search just for the lowest price. So you don't really need it on Coinbase.
You swap it, right? Though on Coinbase Wallet, you swap it. You swap something.
You swap. So I mean, I don't know how much before you like super pump the price, or I don't think you can do maybe more than, I don't know, like 10K at a time, depending on how much is on there. But I don't know how many people are going to be putting that much in it at one time anyway. So it's just.
That's similar to Uniswap. If you guys are wanting to buy OMI really easily, using Uniswap is so easy with MetaMask or just uniswap.org. I've done it quite a few times, buying and selling, as you guys know. It's actually really, really easy though. It's so simple. I used to use a Sendex exchange, but a Sendex is so much more difficult. You got to move money onto there, and you got to wait for people to buy your bag. And Uniswap just has our people sitting there waiting, and it seems to be pretty good. It'll tell you if it's going to impact the price too much as well, so you can lower your amounts of buying or selling because you don't want to necessarily pump the price too much. Yeah, I really recommend that. Rain, do you want to have a price prediction for 2024?
Yeah, I don't see why OMI in 2024 doesn't go to at least 5 cents. So I would say between 5 cents to 30 cents. There is a case that it goes even higher, but that's if so I released a bunch of shorts of the interview that Dr. Stuff and I did with David Yu. And in the shorts really focused on what he's talking about with China and Asia. So China and Asia is a really, really big market. So a lot of the money in crypto right now comes from the US, even though the US regulators are making it hard. But Asia has a ton of money, and they're actually going through a much bigger crypto boom than we are right now anywhere else in the world. And so Asia is very, very pro crypto and going crazy. And so VeVe is trying to make inroads in there. It's a difficult market. And David talks about them trying to go after that. I mean, they're making very smart moves. Imagine they get huge in China, because I know how this plays out when all of a sudden a narrative hits and people start really researching. And imagine they do get some big IP for, say, China, some big IP for Asia. And then you have people in Japan, in Korea, in China going crazy for VeVe in languages. I can't read any of those languages, but we'll see all of a sudden this momentum happening. And then they'll be buying up like the Western world IP and stuff too, as they go crazy. And people in the Western world will be completely unaware. And all of a sudden the price will be going up. They won't even know why, because they don't read those languages. And yet, that's where David Yu is focusing a lot of his efforts. And a lot of people say, oh, he needs to focus on his existing base. He is. A lot of things that they've been building, like they're setting everything up. He's also playing for what David Yu is really good at doing, is playing for a year, 2, 3, and 4 down the road. Because like he was lining up the right licenses, they're just now releasing. He was lining some of those up 3 years ago. And so he is doing all the right things, which is what's so funny to me about where the price is at. I'm seeing all the right actions, like Dr. Stuff was talking about. All the right actions are being taken, sometimes not as fast as we would like. That is so common in technology. You have no idea. Like that's always the case with any technology company, that they're always like way behind what everyone wants to see as far as the technology rollout. But they're doing a decent job at their technology rollout in the last year. And they're setting up all these dominoes. And when those dominoes start falling down, like people are going to be astounded what could happen. And if some of those dominoes include being a main player in digital collectibles in China, the OMI token is going to hit prices you can't even believe it would. Now, will that happen? I don't know. It's just chances. And one of the questions are like about, Rain, should I play the Powerball lottery? Well, sure. If you like, a 1% chance of, not even 1%, a 0.00001% chance of winning anything, and over time you're guaranteed to lose, the Powerball lottery is a great place to be. If you bought every lottery ticket out there so that you were guaranteed to win, you would win like half your money back. Well, I don't like those odds. Those are terrible odds. But what I like in crypto is that like you can take, like, does Ecomi have a 90% chance of doing good from here in the next bull run? It's probably higher than 90%, but let's just say it's 90%. How good will it do? I don't know. It might do 30x. It might do 100 or 2 or 300x. That's the kind of plays that I like, right? And that's why I've been talking about OMI so much. And I don't care that some people think, oh, he's just a moon boy. He doesn't get it. Cool. Let's see a year from now who's right. If a year from now OMI doesn't go to 5 cents or higher, I'll accept that I'm wrong. Shoot. The way I thought it would play out played out differently. Now, probably it will then happen in 2025, but within the timeline that we talked about, I'll admit that I'm wrong. However, all those people say Rain is just a moon boy and he doesn't get it and he doesn't know this and this and this. Well, let's not only compare what the OMI token price does over the next year, let's just kind of look at each other's balance sheets too and see like who does well at investing and like how this goes. And maybe they're far ahead of me. I'll respect that. Maybe if they're like worth $100 million a year from now, and even if I'm right and they're wrong on that, I'll be like, bro, you're solid. I mean, cool. Yeah, we just took different sides of that bet, and you lost that one, but look, you obviously make a whole bunch of wins in your life. I respect that. But a lot of these people, they're new to crypto. They don't understand investing. And then they're saying, I don't understand what I'm talking about. And it probably to them, it seems like I don't, because what I talk about is so different from their world. Cool. Let's just see who's right.
Before Jordan goes, I do want to say one thing, that China 1 year ago today launched its first regulated NFT platform. So it's very, very early there. And I don't see any other project that's going and trying to do it the correct way in launching in Asia. I mean, David, I don't know how long this has been going on for, probably since 2022. I don't know. But David back in July had mentioned, oh, hey, guess what? Looking forward to our new partnership with Alibaba. VeVe has still yet to officially confirm that. David just, teased that and just showed the pictures and everything for the memorandum on his Instagram. But they're, I think, one of the only companies that's going to be able to go and legally do that in China, because everywhere else, like, you can't do that in China unless you pay your part to the Chinese government. I mean, even Disney, they don't own half their parks. They own 41% of their parks. China owns the other 59%.
Wow.
What are these other companies going to do trying to get into China? Like, they're either not going to get in, or they're going to pay that money to get in, and it's not going to go well for them. So VeVe going and doing this through Alibaba, which again nobody knows of yet. It's going to be a huge influx of people, huge influx of money. Show called Crazy Rich Asians for a reason.
Should we do 2025 predictions as well then? Because it sounds like it might take a little while. We might get China go crazy. Okay, so I'll do my price prediction for 2024 December. I'm sort of in between Randy and Rain. I think we'll probably get to about 3 cents. And if you look at the market cap, that's probably around 8 billion, which is pretty close to what Sandbox and Decentraland and stuff got to. So I think that's pretty reasonable. So, and from here, you know, that's, I don't know what that is. It's like a 30x or something like that, 30, 40x. So it looks like all our price predictions are relatively bullish. Even Randy's lower one is still just above the all-time high, right? And that's still like a 20x. That's definitely going to beat Bitcoin. And
but I do think at the height of the bull run, you know, I think 10 cents is fairly doable. I think it's well within the realm of possibility. And
so we're all
things
agreeing that the biggest part will be 2025, like the biggest part of the bull run, probably 2025.
It's hard to tell. It shouldn't really be till 2025, but how it plays out, do note that if you look back at the patterns of when things ran, so the big blow off top happened for Bitcoin in December 2017, but altcoins January and February 2018. And then the bigger part of the run, yes, there was a metaverse run later in the year, but the bigger part of the run ran 3.5 years later, less than 3.5 years later, in March of 2021, rather than so December 2017 to March of 2021. And so that puts us, like, if it follows somewhere close to that pattern, it puts us in late 2024, things going absolutely crazy. However, the exact timing it's not going to be exactly the same. It's not going to have exactly the same spread or whatever. So it could roll into 2025. It could all happen in 2024. I don't know.
Awesome. Mike H has a great point. People place too much emphasis on market cap. Most people, especially new investors, have no idea about market cap or care about it. It's irrelevant during bull run hype. He was purchasing a 007 thinking it was going to hit $1. And that's true. I actually speak to a lot of newbies that are into just getting into crypto, and they have no idea what market cap means. Yeah. They're like, it went to this price to this price. I'm like, what's a market cap? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, seriously? You have no idea? They're like, do you understand how it works? They're like, nope. Okay. Mm-hmm. Good luck. And you know, sometimes there's only 5% supply out there in a brand new token that's going to release 95% on them. And they just don't understand. So it's funny. Tripping. Alrighty. Well, if you want to wrap it up, yep. What was that? Yeah.
I was just wishing J-Dog a happy New Year. Just saw that comment.
Yeah, go J-Dog.
Happy New Year, everybody. Meow, meow, meow.
Wow, futures over 46. Man, I think this sounds like front running, right, from the big boys. They probably know that the ETF's about to be approved, so they're just buying up all the Bitcoin they can, getting ready. Because we haven't seen moves this fast, this quickly. Like in this stream, Bitcoin's gone from like, I think it was around 42,000 something to 44,000 something. Like
yeah,
that's a lot for Bitcoin.
That
How many billions of dollars is that?
In like an hour and a half. In an hour and a half, it's gone up. Let's see,
$100 billion or something.
That's so cool.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
Awesome. Do you guys want to? We'll roll it out now. We'll roll it out. So, can you all give it your final thoughts for OMI, VeVe, and the overall market?
I think I kind of already did with the Alibaba and all that. You know, if we go the next couple months and let's say by March we still have no price movement, which is fine for me. It's just a couple months away. That's when I'll probably start really digging in and buying a bit more. Does that continue on through the summer? I don't know. But that's just when I'll be buying a little bit, but I'm not worried. I have the least amount of worries and concerns that you can probably have about a company or project. I mean, it's not that Dave is doing something that he's offering a service where you need to buy what he has. He's doing something where he's gathering people that believes what he believes, and that's digital collecting. That's just collecting in general, but it's just a new way. And Pokemon is like, in Pokemon Johto, it's a whole new world we live in, but you still got to catch them all. It's a new way of collecting, but it's still collecting. At the end of the day, it's just digital. It's a new way to do it. And I mean, if people want to go and sell, the first appearance of, Rafik E, I think it's like $16 or $13, where there's like less than 3,000 of them or less than 2,000 of them. They can, that's fine. I think that's a little silly, so I have them. I have a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, I'm as least concerned with most things that they do. I'm very happy.
Rain?
Well, look, you're here on this show. Congratulate yourself. That like a lot of people have kind of gone to sleep during the bear market and aren't around. A few of them woken up with blockchain gaming, a few things going well, but like still it's relatively boring and it's still relatively early. And when I say boring, the price action seems very boring. People like to chase green candles. So when there's not massive green candles, they just kind of go to sleep. And that's what 95% of people do, but it's the 5%ers that make all the gains. I can't emphasize this enough. You hear me say the same things over and over again because it's the same principles. It's not magic. It's just applying correct principles to how you think about it, which leads to you to better decisions than the 95% make. It's not like the 95%, they're bad people. They're just new to this. So it's amazing when you make smart bets where the chance of you winning are like really high. And then if you do win, your gains are really big. It's amazing how well you'll do in crypto. You'll lose sometimes because nothing's 100% guarantee. Some founder for XYZ project that you're invested in could get arrested, could like steal money, or there could be some dispute and it totally fails. Well, that's cool. That does happen and it sucks when it happens. And that's why you do diversify, because you never know if that's going to happen. But you'll see as you take smart bets where the odds are stacked against you and you do it when the timing is generally good and hasn't run massively, how well that does for you over time. You'll get really good at this. Like many of you 5 years from now are going to be so wealthy if you stay the course and you continue to work on yourself and understand these principles and then apply them. Some of you will probably even pass me up, which would be awesome. I love it. I have a huge head start. Cool. Learn from my mistakes so that you make less of them. And if that leads you to pass me up, fantastic. Wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. Just invite me on your yacht once in a while and we'll call it good, right? So it's going to be a fun time, especially 5 years from now. Many of you, this will be the first cycle that you're prepared for. And it is going to start to change your life financially. But unless it is a mega rally, it might take you from the realm of like 20 or 30,000 invested into like 2 or 3 million. And though right now it feels like 2 or 3 million will completely change your life, not if you're living in the Western world. 2 or 3 million after you pay your taxes in some cities will barely buy you an okay house. But then if you keep that money, you still live fairly modestly, and then you take some profits on that and you roll that in another bear market and ride that to the upside the next time, and it goes 40x from there, well, that is money that will completely change your life for the rest of your life. That's all I got.
Yeah. I'll echo those comments. Like, I mean, I love that you guys are here. Like, and part of it, I think part of the reason that so many people are here is because of the VeVe community, which has kept people throughout the bear market, right? Where they've stayed for the community. And they love the collecting. And so for those who are holding the OMI token, like I'll say this, right? There is the possibility. I do believe the exchanges are coming. If for whatever reason they didn't come this cycle, the OMI token's not, I mean, yeah, it's jacked this cycle, but I do believe that VeVe is a very long-term project. So if for whatever reason OMI didn't pump this cycle, that would suck. Like that would suck, right? Because there's that opportunity cost, which is super important. But like, I still believe that VeVe is going to be around in 3 to 4 years. And so if it didn't pump this time, I think eventually it's going to get there. I want it to get there this cycle. I believe it's getting there this cycle. I truly believe that. And that's why I'm putting more money in now than more money I have in the last 6 months than I have the entire time before then. But again, all I can continue to just like, I know that's beating a dead horse, but diversify. It's going to really help with the emotions on investing, which can go crazy. You start seeing Bitcoin pumping or Solana pumping and these tokens getting these X's, and you're going to do that. You're going to sell at lows to chase these green candles. And then that one that you sold out of is going to could do major X's. And then you're going to panic, sell out of what just dropped that you bought into because you're chasing green candle into something that's now a new green candle, right? So just listen to Crypto Rain. I mean, and others that have been successful in this space. That's the only thing that I just continue to recommend. It's fun to get this variety of opinions here around the EcomiVerse, but really we're not financial advisors. We don't know your situation, right? You got to do what is best for you. And hopefully you can just listen to these different perspectives, right? And then piece that together for what makes the most sense for you. But for 2024, I do believe that big things are coming for VeVe. Are there a lot of mistakes that VeVe and the team has made? Absolutely. Do I think that some of those are going to get cleaned up this year? Yes. Will they make more mistakes? Yes. And I'm still buying. So like that's all I can say. That's all I can say. I'm buying just some of Jordan's bags, but I'm also
you guys are making me more bullish. I have to buy some more OMI. No. I'll wait for a bit.
Yeah,
the thing is, if it hits 120 million, OMI is going to be plenty.
Oh yeah. Like that's the thing, right? Like I'm not anywhere near there. Like I'm trying to catch some of those. I would love to have. I mean, 50 million is where I'm still trying to get to, right? And I'm getting closer to that. But I don't know if I'm going to hit it because if they do get exchanges and some of this utility really happens, and the AR VR narrative, guys, which I think is going to hit this first quarter with the Apple Vision Pro goggles, VeVe like OMI could go crazy like this quarter, right? And I'll still be happy with the bag I have there, but. Those are my main thoughts. So
I can't wait. Let's go. Well, thanks so much, Crypto Rain, the real Randy Chavez, and Dr. Stuff for coming on today. I really appreciate your time and effort and your patience for you guys have been around on the round of EcomiVerse probably like 75-80% of the time, like majority of the shows, and it's just a testament to this awesome community we have, and we love OMI, we love VeVe, we love all crypto, right? Except for Rain, he doesn't like meme coins. But thanks so much for coming, guys. I really appreciate your time. We'll see you next week. See you guys.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, everyone.
Meow. Bye-bye.